Just how I was able to avoid having a bad day stranded with a flat tire, you could too by carrying one of these GOOLOO A6 LITE tire inflators. Even though this is a very compact tire inflator here, about the size of this water bottle, it still offers up to 45 minutes of working time off just one charge of this high capacity battery. Very simple to use by just twisting on your valve stem connector right here. You can cycle through the car, motorcycle, bicycle, even a basketball, or whatever you need for your situation. This pumps up 3 times faster than your ordinary tire inflator and up to 160 PSI. Very sleek looking, nice sized, and very useful. It carries your accessories here on the back. They're all stored here. It's very sleek and convenient. Weighing only 1 pound, you can simply carry this in your pocket if you had to, or anywhere on your bike as you saw. This is something that will save you in the future, and you don't have to worry about ever being stranded with a flat tire. And in case you ever get stranded in the middle of nowhere where there's no lights, this thing even has an LED light on it. So you can at least get functional while you're on the side of the road repairing your tire. Just like this GOOLOO tire inflator saved my day, I wanted to be able to help you guys as well. So go to the description down below and grab yourself one of these bike pumps today. But one lucky commenter on this video is actually gonna get one of these A6 LITE tire inflators sent to them by just hyping this video down below in the comment section and then leaving a comment with your Instagram tag so I can DM you and get one of these sent to you. GOOLOO has saved my day and it can for you too. Make sure you check out the description down below and grab yourself one of these today. All right, boys, welcome back to another runner video. We just got a bunch of stuff done with the runner. As you might see right here, we got some new gauges on here. We also did the re-gear on here. We took out our MOPBOYZ straight cut gears, which you will see in this video. I think it was very hard to tune around that tall gear set that we had, and you'll see kind of throughout this video on what we kind of discovered with changing out our gears. And here are the MOPBOYZ gears that we removed out of our bike. These were secondary gear set, a 1443 up gear that we did for our 172cc build here. So let's see if changing this gearing around is gonna be the resolution for the runner. Let's get into the video. All right, well, we got a lot to do in this video, so let's go ahead and get started. We have our CVT all stripped apart here, still from last time on the runner, because today we're gonna be doing a gear swap. We're going back to the original 180 gears that came in this engine case. We are also changing up all the gauges we have set up here on the cluster. We're going to be running everything in this one Polini gauge so we can see our tack and our temps all in one gauge. So let's go ahead and get these other ones stripped off the bike, pulling all the wiring and everything that comes with those gauges out of our harness area, and then stripping all of this off of our cluster. So now we have our gauges off so we can rewire the other one in later. But first things first, we're going to go ahead and paint this trim that goes around the cluster up here. We already painted most of our innards, and as you know, we have our main fairings being sprayed as well. But these inner fairings that are like a rougher style plastic and they're all gray originally, we're going to be using some bumper and trim paint and just painting those black. So I decided to leave the cluster on the bike because the harness that plugs into the back of the cluster there is like a ribbon motherboard, and unplugging that plug is very scary. It started to tear apart the motherboard on the back of the cluster, so I just left that in there. We're cleaning all the switches that also run in that cluster because everything is covered from oil from our brake reservoir leaking, a little bit of brake fluid. It has everything coated in a nasty brake fluid. And as you can see here, our headset is in the back with a crazy looking repair, as you can see, because we took 2 of our runner headsets and made one of the 2. Both of these headsets had a bunch of cracks in it. This one was obviously worse because it was broken in numerous spots, and then our original one that came on the bike was just missing that top corner. So we're going to use a plastic welder and a Dremel and make one out of the 2 headsets that we got here. I cut a little piece off of our very damaged headset to fill in to the one that we're going to be using, and I'm running a file on that just to make it all smooth and make sure that we can get it fitted in the correct area, and then doing the same with the headset. As you can see, I got to trim it up a little bit more coming in here, trying not to take away too much material because there's these clips that run on the inside of the headset that basically connect the front panel and the back panel to each other. So I was trying to cut it in a way that we don't have to remove any of the clips in there. As you can see, I messed up. I should have measured twice and cut once, but at that top left area right there, we're gonna have to fill that in with another piece. Sadly, that's just the way it turned out. I had a really damaged headset and I couldn't really do much to get the best piece out of it, but this looks like it's gonna work pretty damn good. So let's go ahead and grab our plastic welder now, tape up the back side of it so it kind of holds itself together, and then we're going to use these metal like clips that come in the plastic welder that you basically melt into the panel itself, and then you can kind of seam the 2 together. As you can see here, we go back and we trim off the legs of it later on, but we're going to run a bunch of those little clips into the plastic, melt those in, and try to get this thing as strong as possible, because this kind of is not really a part that gets moved around a lot, but when you unclip a headset and put it together, you pry on this area pretty good. So I want to make sure this thing isn't just going to snap off right away when we go to remove it or put it on next time. So trying to make the most of it and use all the space we have to fill in those areas with these clips, and it turned out pretty good. We're going to have to use some Bondo and some body filler here on the other side, but not too bad. One clip did burn through, as you can see up there, but not too bad. It could have been a lot worse, and we were able to keep all those little clips, like I said, on the inside, so those mounting points are all good to go. We fixed the one crack at the bottom, and then we used a bunch of body filler here. We're going to have to sand that down, but we also melted some epoxy, or some plastic, I guess you could say, into the crack itself to try to make it just that much stronger. And then after sanding it down, we got it pretty smooth. As you can still see that one clip poking through up at the top, but a little bit more body filler on a second pass. I think it's going to fly. It looks a ton better than having the giant missing chunk like you saw before. And one of these panels cost about $500 US to get here to America for another used one. Was not worth it, so I'm going to go with what we got, and I'm going to make that work. We do have some more things to do to the taillight. We have new taillight lenses, and we also need to paint this trim right here the same color black as well, and make sure everything is matching. So we're going to strip this off and strip our taillight down and get that ready to be painted, and then also get that ready to swap in our new taillight lenses. This is the paint we're going to be using, Rust-Oleum trim and bumper paint. It works great on this rougher style plastic material that's usually on the inner fairings or on like random bumpers for your car, etc. Keeps like a textured style paint on it. It's not meant to look perfectly smooth, it's kind of meant to look as it would factory with that rougher plastic. And we have a ton more to do today because we're going to be stripping this exhaust off of here and the back wheel. We have to get everything off the bike now to go back to the original gearing. So we're working on removing our PM tuning brace that goes on back here. We already removed the pipe, and now we need to remove the wheel, the hub, the caliper, and then everything else. Once we get everything removed from the gearbox, we have to take it over to a press and press off the gear, and that was a pain in the ass last time we did that. We had to bring it to a bigger shop press, and even torching this thing until it's glowing hot and then using the press I have, it just doesn't work. My press is not strong enough, so we're gonna have to figure something out and get these gears pressed off, but I'm sure we'll be able to get it done and then get the stock ones back in here. I'm excited to see what this bike is gonna feel like with that stock gearing. So let's continue on stripping down this gearbox as we drain all the gearbox oil out of this thing and let this thing leak out. And while we're at it, we're going to mark our axle here, as you see, with a Sharpie, and then same thing on the inside where the rear pulley goes, because we want to spin this rear pulley shaft here and see how many times this rear pulley shaft rotates in the one time that our axle shaft rotates for our wheel. And it turns out to be a 7-to-1 gearing. Well, actually it's like a 6.9-to-1, but basically the rear pulley shaft spins 7 times as the wheel rotates 1 time. Now this is my first runner and maxi scooter, if you will, so I'm not sure exactly what the typical gearing is, but 7-to-1 ratio is pretty tall comparing to what I've ever built on any other scooter I've had. I usually run like the highest, like 8-to-1, which we do in the Honda Elites, because those stock gearings are very, very short, and once you build those motors, it wants taller gears. But for the runner, given that we did over 80 miles per hour on the bone stock gearing setup, I think that we should go back to the stock gearing because we're not getting much mile per hour than we were stock right now. So it's going to be exciting to see what going back to stock gearing really does for this bike. The stock lens was cracked, not super bad, but there was a noticeable crack in there. And here is our new lenses. We want some smoked cheap lenses, and they were so cheap that right when I took it out the box, these two pieces basically broke off from each other. So we're using some glue here for the blinkers to get that back in situated. And while that dries, we're going to work on putting all our switches back into our headset panel so we can get that assembled and back onto the bike with the stock cluster, so we can work on wiring in our gauges and everything we need to do with the headset. We We got our headset kind of put back together here and situated back on the bike, and we also have our tail light on there with the new rear sprayed fender area with that trim black. Everything is looking dialed and brand new at this point, so I'm stoked to continue on putting on this Polini gauge. And as you can tell, we do have a little bit of wiring to do for that, but we will do that in just a second, as we still have some gearing to swap over for our gearbox here. So let's go ahead and finish up those gears, and we are swapping back to our stock gears here. And our stock gears are diagonal cut rather than the straight cut MOPBOYZ gears, which offers a very smoother transition and less noise. The straight cut gears have a lot of noise. I tend to like that noise, but it's whatever. We'll go back to the stock gears if it is a better setup for our engine right now. We're reinstalling everything back on the rear hub with our hub, caliper, and our rear wheel, and then we have to put back on our big old PM tuning brace, and then the exhaust follows that. Mounting up the big 360 PM tuning pipe here. This thing is gorgeous. I love this exhaust. And we are also swapping over our clutch right now. A lot of you mentioned to try the MOPBOYZ clutch yet again. We went stock clutch, we went MOPBOYZ clutch, we went back to stock clutch and changed the springs in it. Now we're going back to the MOPBOYZ Delta clutch, and now we are putting the red strongest springs in there at the strongest setting on this adjustable clutch. And let me tell you, this thing is dangerous. It is like playing Russian roulette, putting all your force into this one spring, hoping this thing doesn't slip off and go flying. So be careful when you're doing this, but we were able to get it, and now we have our clutch dialed in with the strongest clutch springs, and we just have to reassemble the brace here on the front, and we will be good to go. Sorry for all the voiceovers in this video. We were actually watching the UFC White House card while this was going on, so I had no option but to voice over all this. But what a crazy fight. We are going back to mark the rear pulley axle and the rear axle to see our new ratio, and our new ratio is 8:1. So we got one whole extra rotation now on the rear pulley axle within the one time our rear wheel rotates. A little bit less than 8:1, I would say like 7.8:1, but either way, we have a lot more spinning going on than we did with our tall gear set that we had before. So we went back, swapped in our rollers, and as you can see, we have very good belt fitment on the back of our pulley here. Probably the best our CVT has looked with the red clutch springs. Everything is mounted on this side after we just changed over our gearbox, the exhaust, and everything. And we went through and polished up some of our shiny parts on here. The last few times we rode the Runner was in very deserty areas, and the thing got thrashed. So we went through and repolished a lot on this bike, and it looks amazing now. This is the polish we actually used here. I don't know if it's the best stuff, but it definitely did the job and got these parts shining. This Polini gauge is now ready to go on. We don't really have nothing crazy to wire, and as you can see here, we actually have to change out this head temp sensor that screws into the head here that goes into our old gauge. It looks like it was leaking a little bit, but it didn't have like a long drip. It was just around the thread, so I think it probably stopped eventually. But yeah, this connector is different, so we do have to remove that, which means we have to drain most of our coolant out, at least everything out of the head area. So we made a little bit of a mess on this side, and we got all that coolant drained out, and now we're going to use some thread tape and get this thing threaded into there with our new sensor, so we can plug that in and run all the wires for our new Polini gauge in there. Then we will have to refill everything with coolant, re-bleed the coolant system, and kind of get all this filled back up with coolant. You can see a little bit of smoke coming off down there in the bottom. Don't worry, that's just from when I drained the coolant. A little bit spilled onto the exhaust when we started up the bike. A little bit of that coolant was burning off of the exhaust, but no big deal. We have our coolant going back in here as we bleed the system, and it fills up all these lines using that bleeder screw that runs off the top connection of our hose into the top of the head up there, and then kind of just filling it as we go, making sure that there's no air in the system and everything is running cool. We can now throw on our Polini gauge onto the top of the headset. I decided to mount it over here on the right hand side. I was originally going to put it right in the middle and put it right on the original cluster setup, but I just did not like that. Over here on the side looks pretty sweet, and I think it's pretty clean and simple. We have a long tack sensor that's going to run down, and then also our coolant one. Nothing crazy, just a few wires, and it's pretty straightforward here. One connection goes back into the gauge itself, and then it splits off. You have to run 12 volts to it and then ground it right here with that little eyelet, which we're going to be using our old connector that we had for our old gauges. If you watched in the last video, we rewired those gauges into one connector instead of having it kind of split off, and we just basically have to put a new connector on the Polini gauge and then plug right into the connector that we made last time. Now our Polini gauge has power. Everything is looking sweet on there, and this display has everything we need. We have voltage, temp, and tack all on here. You can actually run 2 temp gauges if you want. Now we are running our tack onto our coil wire here. You just wrap that thing around, run a zip tie so it doesn't come loose, and then put all that back together. And now we will have an RPM, because last time our tack was reading about half of what it really was. So now we can get the full reading of our tack and see where this bike is actually sitting on the RPM. Sadly, I didn't really think about it, but our new tail light, being the smoke lens, doesn't have the red plastic reflector as the original tail light did. So now our bulb is clear and our tail light is clear. So I went ahead and ordered a red bulb to fix that as well. All right, we just got the Runner pretty dialed in right now. I'd say probably the best it's been so far. We got our new Polini temp gauge and tack and everything up here, but it displays so much more on here. We have our voltage, we have our water temp, and we have the tack. And we got it in Fahrenheit now too, which is very nice. So I don't have to sit there and do the calculations. We also threw on our smoked taillight lens, which I was pretty excited for. And we have some new bulbs here coming on the way for a red bulb, so it actually reflects red and not clear like a headlight right now, because I didn't really think about that when we got rid of the red taillight lens itself. We have everything ran for the wiring and everything for that gauge. We still are going to be putting our fan here on a switch soon. I just didn't really know where I wanted to mount the switch itself. We're going to figure that out as we go. I just want to go see right now if these gears in fact did make a big difference. So let's go ride the bike and find out.
Oh boy, fire right up. Oh my goodness. Okay, the RPM gauge actually works now. That's a heavy bike just to be lifting up the whole front wheel and everything just off like... New carb on the way, boys. We're done with this Gilera carb and the problems, mostly because where we live. These Gilera carbs are just not popular at all. That's out of gas. That ran out of gas. No way we just ran out of gas. Thing rolls good though, look at this thing. No drag on the wheels at all on this thing. Maybe that gas light was really accurate then. And the gas gauge is not accurate. Man, I do not want to walk this thing all the way home. The fuel light was on. It's been on since the last video. But the fuel gauge is saying it's full. And this kickstand's so bad. I can't stand this kickstand. Look at this. This bike literally can't even stand up on it. I mean, it works on the concrete, obviously, but barely. Yeah, better kickstand for this thing. And the thing wants to like fall over. If I just barely touch it, the front wheel comes up in the air. It's like teeters on the verge of falling over. I also have a little bit of an exhaust leak going on back here. I could see it spraying on the back. So I'll probably end up using some Honda Bond inside that header up there to get a better seal around it. Boys, let me tell you, that gearing felt so much better. Wow, did that gearing feel way better. The thing was ripping up the front end. And as I was saying when we ran out of gas, the Gilera carb is no more. We have a new carb on the way. The Gilera carb is just way too inconvenient to have here in the United States of America. Not only did it take me like a month and a half to get the jets for this thing, it is also just like not my favorite carb. I have a Gilera on my Pook that I built and I just wasn't happy with it. I don't know, I don't really love the Gilera carbs, so I think this thing will run a whole lot better with the new setup that we're going to be doing in this.
Alright, we just picked up some premix for the Runner now. Get it filled up and then we're going to take it back home and reseal this exhaust. 1.5 gallons pouring this bad girl. I don't even know how big this tank is. I think last time we put like 2.5 gallons in there. I'm surprised it ran out. I feel like we have not rode this thing that much. Clots oil in her. She'll smell good. No race gas yet. Should we put race gas in this thing? I wasn't too scared to blow up the jog, but this thing would be kind of scary if we put race gas in it. We definitely need to retune it before I put the race gas in this thing. I wouldn't send it like I did on the jog.
Okay, the fuel light is off now. So the fuel light definitely works on this thing. The fuel gauge itself does not. The fuel gauge has been reading full the whole time. Knowing the runner, there's probably some weird ground that runs through these front blinkers. That is the ground for the coolant temp up here and also for the fuel gauge is my assumption, because they have weird grounds like the oil sender ground down there for the oil unit. Oh my goodness, this thing's fast now. Holy smokes. 100 kilometers like that. Clutch feels really good now with the red springs in there. Let's give it a pull. I don't have the draggy on here yet, but wow, the bottom end is a different bike. Holy smokes. Wow. Okay. It needs, kind of feels like it wants heavier rollers now though. Yeah, 86, 8700 now. We were only revving to like 7.5 before. No matter what we did, we tried even 10 gram rollers before on the old gearing. Temps are good. Oh my God! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Back in the garage we go to fix this exhaust leak. As you can see, nothing crazy, but it was spraying a little bit of oil down there on the cylinder, and I want to fix it now before it gets any worse. And then up here on our brake reservoir, our master cylinder piston that runs into the actual master itself is leaking bad. So I had a feeling this was happening. We had a little brake fluid showing up random spots on this bike over the last few weeks, and yeah, we needed to order some new brake master reservoirs for that, so we went ahead and did that as well. But we're stripping this exhaust off, and we're going to use a little bit of Honda Bond and seal this header and this exhaust better, because it was leaking. It did this the first time too. So last time we ran a little bit of gasket maker in there and it worked fine, and we're going to do the same thing this time. So we're cleaning off all the surface here to make sure we get a good mating point on there, and then we'll take some Honda Bond and run that on our fingers, and then run that on the header flange itself, and then inside the exhaust a little bit as well. And then we'll throw that PM tuning pipe back on, get this thing back out on the street, and feel some more power from this runner.
I didn't end up changing the rollers yet because I just wanted to feel it out a little bit more. I think we do need heavier rollers though to get more potential exactly. But I just want to see where our 0 to 60 is. May not change, I don't know, because we were able to hit 80 miles per hour when we were bone stock with this gearing. So I think we'll still be good on the gearing wise to reach at least low 90 miles per hour now. I think it's just now up to us on the carb and the CVT tuning. But we got that new carb on the way, and it's still not here yet. So we're just mostly just trying to see right now how this gearing is going to be and if we're going to keep it this route. So let's go test it. Wow, it is hard to keep that front down now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. It has got to be way faster. And the mile per hour was there still, dude. CVT feels so good with the red clutch springs in the clutch right now too. Like the takeoff is just so good. Pretty happy with the runner right now, boys. We're going out to Little Mexico in the next video for sure when we get that new carb on here. Wow, it is just straight to 60. Okay. Oh man, it feels so much better. The way it just rolls into it now is so smooth. Wow. Oh man. 120, 130. Dude, my wallet's about to fly fly out of my pocket. The runner is ripping right now. Oh, it's got so splashed up with that water. Oh my gosh! My eyes are watering so bad. Hold on. Wow. Wow. There's that power we've been missing, bro. Holy smokes, man. How's our exhaust looking? I don't see any exhaust leak this time. I think we're good. I don't see any oil residue or nothing. So that's a good sign, boys. That bottom is crazy now. Our front brake is leaking. Sadly, we're gonna have to order new brake masters, so good thing we didn't put on the plastics yet again. We're still changing so much stuff. Oh my God! I can't get over that. I can't get over that. Holy smokes, dude. It hits 70 miles per hour so fast.
All right, boys, so the runner right now is probably the best it's felt since we built this thing. And I think truly because of the stock gearing. I realized after we swapped that stock gearing, I think I wasn't happy with the runner because it just didn't feel like that peppy and want to wheelie like every other scooter we've ever built. And now with that stock gearing, as you saw, this thing rips. I might have lost a little bit in the top end. That's what we're gonna have to find out next time on the video, but I just kind of edited some of this video and realized I can't be riding this thing on the streets around here because I just get way too crazy and I get way too excited when I hop on this thing. Next time we will take this thing out to Little Mexico and we'll get more tuning on this. I just can't hold myself back. If we tune this thing more, I'm gonna end up ripping it going 80 miles per hour down the street and it's not good. The runner has to be put on hold right now, and also kind of for safety reasons, our brakes were literally leaking brake fluid. Both of them were actually leaking. So on both the masters there, I mean, these brakes are super old and we have been absolutely abusing this bike since the second we built it. So it is starting to kick out all those old parts. Basically, the only thing we haven't put brand new on here was the brake masters. So we got those on order and I'm gonna hold myself back from doing any high-speed pulls on this thing until we get the brakes for certain dialed in. And for the top speed, I will probably not do another top speed until we get our full fairing set on, because a lot of people made a good point about it not being aerodynamic at all right now. I'm not sure how much that would actually affect this thing right now, but if you look at the headset right here, it's the back half. I mean, all the air that's hitting right here is basically hitting this back and completely dragging and not being aerodynamic whatsoever. So I don't think it would have made a huge deal, but I definitely think running the no panels probably does do a little something on the aerodynamic, and just how we have our feet hanging off of just these little skinny bars right here and we're doing 80 miles per hour. A bunch of little things that I kind of just realized. It is 2 in the morning right now and I'm editing this video as we speak because I want to get this thing out tomorrow. So we still have a long night ahead of myself right here to edit this video, but I want to show you guys some things that we got right here for the runner. Because if you made it this far in the video, you deserve to see a little something coming in the future. Now I'm not sure which box is actually for the runner because these are both from Scooter Swap Shop. One was for the pre-bug video that we filmed last week, and then this one's for the runner. Oh, this one's actually for the pre-bug. So, oh, hey, you guys get a little sneak peek at an upcoming video right now for the pre-bug as well. So from Scooter Swap Shop, of course, make sure you guys check them out. Always linked in the description. Use code MOPBOYZ, you can save some money on some scooter parts. We have a CVT cooling thing that's going on the bell. You'll see more of that, like I said, in the next video. We also ordered a Plini ignition for that pre-bug to try one last thing on that Plini Evo kit. I'm gonna go ahead and try one of these Plini ignitions because that is what Plini suggests to use with that kit. We also should try the Plini exhaust. We'll have to figure that out. But in other news, that means this one is for the runners. So let's see what we got. More candy. Smart carb. Wait, what? That's right. We got, oh, it doesn't even come in like a fancy box. That's crazy. It just literally is like in here. Woo! we have a smart carb, a big ol' 36 millimeter smart carb. This is a $700 carburetor right here. We put one of these before on our purple Honda LITE and the thing ripped. Well, I'm excited to try this on the Runner and we will see what this smart carb can do for us, boys. And one last thing for the Runner, we got the red taillight bulb. Somehow I accidentally ordered 10 of these. I did not see that when we were buying these, but this should fix our little taillight issue. So as you can see right now, our taillight is clear because we put on the smoked lens and it's no longer a red lens here. So it doesn't reflect red. So it looks kind of goofy right now. If someone's riding behind you, it looks like you're flashing a headlight. So let's go ahead and swap that over real quick. All right. Definitely better than having a clear little light on the back there now. And lastly, we did get the panels dropped off finally for paint. We had that paint come in last time. We got those dropped off for paint and we have all the innards sprayed black. And now once we get our fairings back from paint, we will be able to complete our Runner here. So I'm so stoked for that. Make sure you guys leave a like on this video and I will see you guys in the next one.